Alright, let's finish this bitch up today, huh? We have one endgame quest, one character journey quest for Hervé, which takes place on the Burial Isle. And then the Burial Isle is the last place of the game, so we should be able to beat it within the next couple of hours. Unless the place just drags on and pigeons off to 5 million other quests. Always possible. It's already done it to me with the White March DLC too. So, you never know. But I'm pretty sure this will be the end when we go to the Burial Isle. I'm sure there'll be quite a bit to do there. That's why I'm giving myself a few hours. But first, we do the quest to protect our stronghold. The Siege of Yenwood, I believe it's called. As soon as the initial load screen is done anyways. That's always the longest. Oh, I'm stuffed. Had a public sub for dinner. The sub of the week is the Italian sub. Delicious. I can't eat like that anymore. A whole sub. I'm half the man I used to be. I know it's hard by looking at me. Fat fuck. But half the man I used to be. I don't do seconds anymore. I've been losing weight. I'm just not used to eating a whole sub anymore. Alright. Let's take a look at things. I think we're ready. We got the Woodland Trails bonus. So let's save our game. Just make sure we're ready, and then we're going to do the Battle of Yenwood. I'm standing right near him. Alright. Lord Gathman's army grows, Pons Eric. Don't ignore this threat. Let's talk about my army. Marshal nods. Where am I getting my troops? Don't know. We've already talked through all these, but I want to hear it again. Alright, let's go. Excellent. Morale is high and the troops are eager to follow you to glory. Are you certain you wish to march? Yes, I'm sure. Give the order. As you command, I'll march the army to Yenwood Field. Will you be accompanying us? Yes, let's march. Apparently I could have just had my guys go. I want to participate in the fighting because I'll slaughter these people. Probably. Possibly. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, good old Florida thunder showers in the afternoon have begun. As you crest a small hill overlooking Yenwood Field, Lord Gathman's army is a flurry of activity, scurrying to and fro. Even from this distance, you can hear the drums of war, beating their steady cadence designed to intimidate their foes while organizing the rank and file into battle formations. Sorry, I'm still fighting that cough. Marshal Forward approaches. You've arrived just in time. Lord Gathman's forces are beginning to move. An attack is imminent. Inspect your forces. Local militia constitutes the majority of the army. Veteran soldiers have organized the ranks and walk among the young, unseasoned warriors, offering advice or the occasional joke. They cheer, striking sword to shield as you pass, and thunderous approval of their lord. Among the troops, a small group of warriors shine brighter than the others. Crucible knights, standing tall in gleaming plate armor and armed with spear and shield. They stand at attention, spears centered, as you pass. You pass a group of crag ogres working themselves into a frenzy. They carve jagged wounds across each other's chest and back, their war cries echoing throughout the camp. Your troops give them a wide berth. A squad of Red Saren Pathfinders make ready for the upcoming battle. War bows are strung and quivers are filled as you pass. One of the archers spots you and whistles. Silently, each of them places a closed fist over heart and salute. Any idea what Gathman is planning? Marshal Forward strokes his chin. His ultimate objective is to face you in battle and be seen defeating you. I doubt he is foolish enough to challenge you to single combat, of course. Sound the horn, Marshal Foreman. It's time to finish this. Marshal Foreman begins barking orders, and your troops quickly form up. Gathman's army follows suit as Adren war drums echo across the field. Within a few moments, the Marshal raises a brass horn in the visage of a mighty boar to his lips. He looks at you expectantly. For Caed Nua! Your troops bellow across the field, pounding weapon to shield, as the Marshal's horn sounds. Dozens of bowstrings twang in unison behind you as your archers unleash a hail of arrows at Gathman's army. The missiles hiss through the air with deadly accuracy, felling scores of enemies. In a bold move, Gathman points his sword towards your position, giving an unheard order. His infantry, shields raised, charge the field. Your infantry charges headlong into the enemy infantry in the center of the field. The cacophonous sound of metal on metal is nearly deafening as the two forces collide. The fighting is fierce and the screams of the dying numerous. Led by veteran warriors rallied to your cause, the troops fight valiantly and appear to be holding their ground. The battle thus far appears to be a stalemate. Then a group of Adren battle mages emerges from behind the enemy lines. They begin weaving their hands in unison with practiced precision. Suddenly, waves of arcane fire erupt among your troops. The acrid smell of smoke and burning flesh is nearly overwhelming. From the left flank, a unit of Rotai berserkers, clad in plate armor and wielding greatswords, begins to collapse the left side of the line. The ground is thick with the dead as they press their advantage. Meanwhile, Bleakwalker paladins, dressed in dark armor and carrying sword and shield, stride back and forth behind Gathman's lines, rallying his warriors and exhorting them to fight harder. As the battle rages, Marshal Foreman looks to you for orders. Study the battlefield. Your troops fight bravely and your lines are holding for the moment. Gathman's army is slowly pushing you back and casualties are around. Defeat is likely. We need to deal with those battle mages. What's your plan, Lord Ponzeric? Order the Retsaran Pathfinders to give him a few volleys. Accurate arrow fire from the Retsarans disrupts and fells many of the battle mages, but arcane defenses torch some of the arrows. The survivors retreat from the battle and move out of range, but not before hurling a volley of fireballs into your archers' ranks. The screams of the dying echo in your ears as the Retsarans are set afire. As the battle looks to you for orders. Okay. Take out the berserkers. What unit should I send? Foreman bellows over the din of battle. Send in the Crucible Knights. The Knights of the Crucible form a shield wall to reinforce the crumbling left flank. Rotai berserkers throw themselves against the wall with reckless abandon. Each time a knight falls, another steps into the breach, shield held high and spear at the ready. The berserkers' losses are many, and with a few minutes it is clear the wall will hold. The Bleakwalkers must die. Marshal Foreman avoids an incoming arrow before answering. And how do you plan on doing that? Sound the charge for our ogre allies. The Crag Ogres charge the Gathman lines in a blood frenzy. Using their size, the ogres leap over the enemy line, ignoring grievous wounds. While many fall, nearly a dozen reach the Bleakwalker ranks. Now preoccupied with the ogres, the Bleakwalkers can no longer support the center of the line. Within moments, your own forces surge forward as the Gathman line begins to falter. Study the battlefield. The heavy losses inflicted on Gathman's troops have clearly lifted morale. Your troops push forward with renewed vigor while Gathman's army is slowly losing ground. Victory is within your grasp. Everyone on me, charge! As the remainder of your forces charge, a horn sounds into the distance. A new contingent of warriors crests a nearby hill. As Gathman's reinforcements charge headlong into the fray, his other troops cheer triumphantly. The new arrivals quickly join Gathman's forces on the field. As the battle rages, your forces are clearly winning the day. Gathman's army begins to collapse. Ponzeric, Lord Gathman strides through the carnage, his elite guard accompanying him. I'll not have you take this victory from me. It's time I put you down like the dog you are. Point your weapon. Salute Gathman with your weapon. Oh shit. What did the quest say? Defeat Lord Gathrin. Archers. Battle mage. Priests. There's Lord Gathrin. Need to take out the priest. So her and him. Their duty is the priest. His duty is to cause them to go through problems if they cross that line. His duty is also take them out. Okay, let him change tactics to there. She can keep doing that. He can keep doing that. He can keep doing that. Okay, everything's fine as is. Wait, while summoned. Get the battle mage. This battle isn't near as hard as the Conceal Hop fights. Alright, everybody focus on Lord Gathrin. Oh no, we got some helpers here. Well, I want Gathrin to be alone. And friendless.
Let's go!
That's not very helpful. Can't get a good shot at this.
Now he's alone and friendless. Lord Gathrin lies dead before you, his army scattered. Bloody and exhausted, your remaining troops look to you, swords raised high in victory, chanting your name. Ponzeric! 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 Holding the hem of his robe as he steps over several bodies, Chancellor Warren approaches you. Although his face is pale and he looks as if he'll be sick at any moment, he forces a smile. Lord Pons Eric, while I'm grateful this dispute is finally over, it is regrettable so many lives were lost in the process. Gathbin should have just been reasonable from the start. He gags involuntarily as his silk boot brushes against his severed head. In any event, as a legal arbiter of Earl Badamere, I'm here to inform you that you've been declared a Thane of the Deerwood, and Caednil has been recognized as your domain. It shall forever be thus, and will pass down to any descendants you may have in the future. Of course, now that your claim has been upheld, you are expected to forward a small portion of any taxes you collect to your rightful lord, Earl Badamere. Sounds reasonable. It appears my work is done. Feel free to visit the palace if he steps in a pile of entrails with a wet squish as he turns to leave. On second thought, I'll come and visit you. Yes, perhaps in a year. Or 3. Lord Pons Eric, it's been an honor to serve you. I'll be making my way back to Garen's Grasp. The Earl has some urgent business for me there, unfortunately. Should you ever find yourself that far north, feel free to call on me. I'd love to trade war stories with you over a cup or two. He grasps your hand briefly in a firm grip, then turns on his heel. I am now the rightful heir of Caednil. Okay, let's take a look at that ring. It's a decent cloak. That's a crap ring. Might be a good belt. Crap gloves. Grimoire for him to take a look at. Everything else is crap.
Sure.
Well, a lot of crows. I guess it makes sense. It's a war battle site.
Amazing. You could fit a whole village in here.
Okay, nothing very good there. Oh, I have to keep it on this person. Okay. Grant Lord's authority. 1 per stronghold turn. 10% ability area of effect. It's not really that good a ring. Fortitude, reflex, will. Okay. Damage reduction belt. I think that's actually better for him, so we'll go with that. Let's see what she has to say.
I trust all is well.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Gods keep you.
Okay. So we have to switch out somebody for Herves. I'm inclined to switch out our caster, because my other guys have some decent spells too. I really don't want to take Herves. I really don't like him. He's got decent spells though, and he's a dual wield meleeer, so
Amazing.
I don't want to replace
You could
Minea
fit
though.
a
She's
whole
so
village in
strong.
here.
Oh, I need to hire some more people, huh? Alright, let's drop
Farewell.
him and take him.
Yeah.
So he's melee, so I want him up here
Need something?
with her. Let's go ahead and level him up. The last level. Let's do that because he needs all the defense he can get. Let's change our let's see. DPS, 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 ranged. Actually, something like that. Okay,
Need something?
let's familiarize ourselves.
Arthek Worthen Roth!
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We also have to go over his weapons. What does he focus on? Hatchet, spear, quarterstaff. Okay, he's not going to use hunting bow or unarmed or quarterstaff. So hatchet, spear. Battle axe, sword, morning star.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Need
let's
something?
let's go through the weapons and see what's good for him. Okay. Battle axe. I don't think he's good with flail, if I remember correctly. I think it was Morning Star that he's good with. Hatchet. That's quarterstaffs, but I don't want him using two-handers. Doesn't look like I have any better spears either. Well, maybe that one. Wand, bow. Okay. So let's go over his weapons again. Battle axe, sword, Morning Star. So he can use sword. Hatchet, spear. Battle axe. So sword. I need to look at the swords as well. Okay, so that should be it for swords. Let's look at his weapons. Okay, so 1725. Okay, I don't like that weapon. Let's look at this one. 16 to 23. That's okay, but not better than what he's using, I don't think. Okay, definitely not that one. Or that one. $16 to 23. That's only okay. 14 to 20. Okay, so I think he has the best weapons equipped for his character. So let's check other stuff. Oh, what kind of armor does it use? Medium armor. These are medium armors. It's light. Light. Heavy. Okay. Let's check the helms. Let's check all the gloves. Just taking all this stuff out, it'll be easy to put back. Oh, still a couple gloves left. My bad. I use Hervé so little, and he's needed for this last section because that's where his class quest is, that I really don't want to, you know, I've just used him so little that his gear is all outdated and stuff. So we're just going to look at it all. He doesn't even have a ring in one of his slots. That's how little I use him and how poor his gear has gotten due to lack of use. I should send duplicates back. We don't need duplicates and it's taking up space. Duplicates, go away. They're not all necessarily duplicates, but still. Just need to make some extra space to go through options. Okay, we don't need that one. Okay, that's good enough. Let's see, anything else? No. Okay, Hervé, let's go. Let's party. Currently, he's using a stealthy enough perception head. Okay. Immunity to confuse. Is that all the head items? Yes, I think so. Okay, so let's look at rings. We'll put that in for now. Check the rings. Oh, I forgot to check these helms. +3 resolve. +3 intellect. Okay, I think I'm happy with his rings. Let's look at his belt of Constitution 3. Belts, 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 belts. Let's do that one instead. Okay, I'm happy with his belt situation. Gloves, spell damage multiplier. That's kind of a shitty one for him. Of deflection, of might, accurate, of deflection, spell damage multiplier of dex, 0.1 to crit damage multiplier, which is not that great. Any other gloves? No, that looks like it. Oh, we're done with belts. I think of deflection. Let's give him some of deflection. Which means we're done with gloves. Okay, boots. What's he using for boots? Fenwalkers. Okay, we're gonna keep using those boots. Capes. Grants overwhelming wave. And hit by a critical hit. Let's see if he has anything better. I like that one better. Let's see. There's not a huge call for poison attack, so that might even be better. Oh, not even usable by Druid. Okay, never mind then. Okay. Wait a second. 10% raise damage. How did I not see this before? That's That's better for her. Okay, so now let's look at his armor. Okay, not using anybody's starting armor, so let's look. Doesn't look like anybody else's starting armor. 2 stealth, 2 perception, 3 damage reduction. Okay, we're going hand and key on that. Okay, we're gonna remain hand and key. And these are helms. Okay. So, we're all set. Let's go ahead and see if we can enchant his weapons anymore. Legendary. Slay. Vessel. Legendary. Okay. Don't think we can enchant any of this stuff except for the chest armor. Exceptional. Alright. So things are as good as they're gonna get. Let's go ahead and rest. 2 athletics, 3 constitution. That way they all get the bonus, and let's go to the burial isle. Save our game. Alright, let's head out. Burial Isle, last place in the game. I think we have to go from Old Song.
Yeah.
Burial Isle. Don't even know what kind of spells he has. He has some cool spells. Save our game before we depart.
Hail, Estremor.
A thin, ragged man stands waiting on the barge, leaning on the oar. A smile of greeting splits his weathered features. It has been a very long time since an outsider sought passage to the burial isle. Take me across. Dorval inclines his head in acknowledgement. I will. Take care that you not lose your footing. These waters have a fickle temper. Oh, that's a cool graphic. Find the court of the penitents. Only the penitent men shall pass. Zahawa is back. Okay.
Right.
No sign that anyone's been here in ages.
However, looks off in the
were
distance.
children, and the missionaries came to tell us about the gods. They told us we could see them in the stars. I remember when I heard that, I snuck out at night and climbed the watchtower in the old fort because I wanted to see them better. That fort burned down a few years ago when we cast the missionaries out. It was the missionaries who set fire to it. They didn't want us to be able to use it. Shame. There was history in that fort.
They'll do a lot worse if they ever return. Those missionaries are all inquisitors now. Strange to think they're the same people underneath, but I suppose you would know. She looks at you. This is your home as much as it is mine. Do you worry about it? Our being here puts Creatum at risk. I wish I could say I thought otherwise, but hearing someone else say it helps settle some things in my mind.
I miscalculated many things since this began. I'm relieved you weren't one of them. It's a good thing we didn't hang you. I always knew this path would have consequences, but I never wanted to see Creatum suffer on my behalf. I don't think I can stay here any longer. I am told the Inquisition is gathering an army, that they have sent messengers to bargain with rulers from distant lands. Creatum is not built to withstand a siege. If war is coming, I should be doing what Theos is doing. I will need allies. Allies in a stronghold that can resist an invading army.
You can feel words formed long ago rising in your throat like a toxic black bile. Have you thought about Osinius?
Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders, and their king has no love of the Inquisition's faith. I wonder, would he listen?
Huh?
Lead the way. Lead the way.
Right.
Let's go! Let's go!
Can't get a good shot.
You venture through a doorway into an underground tunnel. A staircase coils upwards, leading to a dim passage. On the upper level, light filters through the collapsed ceiling. A wall of piled stones and rubble blocks the way ahead. Clear the rubble of a pry bar. You wedge your pry bar against a large stone and put all your weight into it. Your efforts dislodge the boulder and it rolls free of a heavy groan. Other slabs and chunks of debris begin to break away. The massive pile creaks and rumbles, threatening to lose 1,000 pounds of stone around you. As the debris tumbles down, you lunge through the narrow gap. The rock slide crashes down behind you, and nothing more than a few small pebbles graze your neck. Light breaks into the tunnel up ahead, growing brighter as you continue. Soon, the passage ends, opening up high on the cliffside of the burial isle.
Let's go!
Might as well use a campfire to just recover that little bit of health some of my guys have lost. They're offering one to us right there. Okay. That was weird.
Job. Let
Let's try that again. That didn't.
Sure.
That's okay.
Settle!
Okay, so went from there to there, all around there. Let's go down the stairs and complete.
Up.
That's weird.
So you knew this Theos character ages ago, that right?
I think I was part of a missionary order he led.
And that was what? A few 100 years ago? 1,000?
She sucks her teeth.
What's that even like, remembering something from so long ago?
What bothers me is that Theos remembers more about my own past than I do.
Well, brace yourself for the day you remember more.
She sighs and deep lines crease her blue and green brow.
That's what's got me thinking about Theos. Those Delamgon said he remembers everything.
She looks back at you.
I mean, can you imagine? Recalling centuries in perfect detail. Every lost love. Every failed dream.
She shakes her head.
Whatever his mission, he's had a long time to work at it.
She nods soberly.
You ever wonder how that's changed him? Whether Theos would have chosen this path all those lifetimes ago if he'd known where it would lead?
Minea squints at you, her head cocked. Perhaps Theos began with good intentions. A person might commit horrible acts in defense of noble ideals.
There's usually a shady path that leads from one to the other. But I see your point. Though I'm surprised you have any sympathy for him. He's made this life, and who knows how many others, difficult for you.
I'm either stoic or rational, so let's go stoic. Hating him changes nothing.
You're right about that. I'm not defending Theos. But I know what it's like to carry a burden you can't put down.
For just a moment, her whole frame sags, but she straightens her shoulders and looks at you with sudden purpose and vigor.
Which makes me wonder why he's doing it. Other gods told you that he means to strengthen Woodica. But to what end?
We better hurry if we mean to find out.
I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
It's a pretty decent weapon. I'm not going to make any changes now, though. Standing proud and still, the MO before you smiling broadly. showing several crooked and missing teeth. Sporting the physique of a man in his prime, his worn and weathered face appears too old for the rest of him. He's dressed in an assortment of stitched hides and furs, assembled from a motley of animals. Dangling from his belt are a series of grisly scalps, braided lengths of human, Adrian, dwarven, and Orlan hair woven around finger bones. He sizes you up with a grin, but his gaze quickly locks with Hervey's, and he tilts his head as he examines Orlan head to toe. What do they call you, little one? You smell familiar, but your name is unknown to me.
I am Heravius, child of the Fisher Crane, adept of the Hawk and Ivy, wanderer of Eretha. Too formal?
The man ahead of you clears his throat. A feline rumble comes from his chest, and for a moment his hair stands perfectly on end. Hervey's. Fitting. He holds out his right hand and flexes his fingers. Long black talons sprout from under filth-encrusted fingernails. He rolls his head back and inhales deeply, sighing with a smile some perceived scent. Needed to bring friends with you? Hervey's, do you know this man? His good ear flutters as he turns to face you. Yes, his response is much a question as an answer. He smells just like me, I mean. Not as musky and virile, but he has that smell of Stalgar sweat and rotting leaves. Either he's bathing in my urine, or he's got the same gift as me. Scath then turns to you. His pupils dilate as he stares at you, smiling. Estermore, look closer and you'll see. I have awoken to his past while he remains ignorant. You allow your eyes to relax until your mind is attuned to the invisible hum of souls. The Moa projects a dizzying display, red, gold, and orange, autumn halos around his massive form. Where his feet touch the ground, you see a network of roots and veins that trail from his feet and sink deep into the earth. Turning to Hervey's, you see glowing roots emerge from his feet, appearing as mirror images to the tendrils radiating from Scathden. These roots of soul energy meet between the two men and then snake deep into the earth in one twisted root. You sense that these men have distinct souls, but only one shared past. The two men are a splayed fork in an otherwise unbroken line. The two of you share the same past, though you carry distinct souls. A shared past? Scathden scratches a patch of fur on his cheeks. An inelegant analogy. Who I was in my last life was diminished in my cycle of rebirth, squandered so that this runt could have life. Runt! Hervey's brow furrows, and he clenches his fist so tightly you hear a cacophony of crackling finger joints. And it's not your soul. It's not exactly. His anger falters. He stumbles over his thoughts. Were you visited by the Autumn Stalgar? Visited, tested, forged. That would be the way to view it. Scathden looks at Hervey's with a sneer. I previously thought it was a mark of distinction, but apparently even a half-height, half-man can manage the task. It takes away some of the glory, does it not? Half-man, Hervey's glares back, his good eye twitching as fur standing on end. That's some really tough talk come from a man about to choke on his own blood. What do you want with Hervey's? Something he wants from me, no doubt. Completion. He exhales slowly, eyeing Hervey's as his nostrils flare. Galawain gifted us both with the stripe of a true predator. It is our purpose to erase the weak, ensuring only the strong proliferate. He mashes his fists together with a meaty thud. We must honor our god. He looks at Hervey's eye patch and shakes his head. My god, by doing as the hound demands. Let us determine who bears the right to be Galawain's harbinger. Hervey's, is this what you want? Hervey's growls, his fur bristles, and for a moment shines with luminescent tendrils of yellow and orange. I asked to be a hunter. A regular hunter that gets invited to chase down dinner and eat its neck. I didn't ask for this. Whale has led you to this moment for you to understand, not to whine. You asked Galawain for strength, and your anger you got more than you wanted? I suppose you were right. His face turns red at your comment, and he looks down at his feet. I lacked strength, and I asked Galawain for help. And the lesson he taught. Don't ask. Take. His hand darts about his tunic and retrieves his rusted iron hound amulet from the recesses of his pockets. I was mad at Galawain. I should have been mad at myself. I was gifted with power, great power, and I simply squandered my energy resenting the cost of that gift. Losing contact with my tribe was the price I had to pay for demanding power. He runs his thumb across the embossed metal icon of Galawain, his nails scraping aside a decade of rust and muck. My watcher friend, his voice is low, almost rumbling, I need to settle this matter. And with that, he leaps towards Scathden. Okay, so let's do these two on him. These two. On him. These 3 on him.
Right.
Hervé pants and wheezes, his one good eye locked on Scathan's corpse. Blood and sweat drip down his fur, and he rocks back and forth on the balls of his feet, as though expecting the body to stand back up. He examines Scathan's corpse. As your eyes relax and your vision adjusts to the hum of the invisible, you see a swirling pile of red, orange, and yellow leaves. The cyclone of foliage flies apart, and the leaves drift off into parts unknown. As Scathan's essence fades from your view, you see a handful of autumn leaves circle about Hervé's as his soul glows a bolder shade of orange. How do you feel?
Excellent! I endured Galawain's trial, and vanquished my equal. The only thing I regret now are the years I wasted viewing this whole thing as a curse. The ostracism was, no doubt, just another way of Galawain forcing me to be stronger.
Are we done here?
Almost. We thank thee, Galawain, for guiding our hunt. For today we grow strong off the flesh of the weaker. I think we're done here. Before the vultures get to him, figured I should take a reminder.
Alright, last side quest done. Okay, so we're ready to go up here, it looks like. Alright, let's do one more save. Right at this spot. And head on up the stairs and see what's up here.
Another turn, Inquisitor.
Theos signals some unseen attendant standing beside a large crank.
I ask again, Jovara Ixensios, do you confess to these heresies of which you stand accused?
He waits, but Yovera only stares straight ahead, her face stony, the creak of her restraints the only sound.
Do you confess to apostasy?
I confess to renouncing a mistake.
Do you confess to conspiracy against the one true faith?
I confess to opening minds.
Do you confess to false prophecy?
I confess to following a false prophet.
Indeed. And where might we find this heretic?
He wears the robes of a Grand Inquisitor.
You have no followers here, heretic. Your lies hold no sway in the court of the penitents.
Only my truth, then.
Another turn.
No! Wait! Wait! I'm ready. I'm ready.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
So it looks like that girl was in the same cult, the Leaden Key, with my character and Theos, except she
When you get to the bottom, holler up here.
found
Let me know if it's safe.
she found something that Theos was doing that was bad. Just like probably my character. Somewhere in deep in the ruins of Ibril's Well, a pair of Puagra prey on travelers and offer up sacrifices to their mother. In the past, travelers simply knew to avoid all trails leading near the well, but in recent years, the Puagra have increased the range of their hunts. Travelers have been abducted or killed on the roads between Solace Vale and Midwood. Glenfathans are reticent to enter Ibril's Well due to religious significance of the ruins there, but that hasn't stopped the residents of the affected towns from requesting help from the rest of Deerwood. Let's send old man Zahu. Okay, save our game before we head in the pit. I'm not sure where exactly the point of no return is, but we're gonna save. The Great Pit lies in the shadow of the statue of Wodoka. No light from the surface reaches the bottom, but even so you catch flickers of a ghostly glow in the depths. A wind from the pit buffets you. It isn't cold, but it raises goose flesh along your arms. The wind carries a whisper, low and sibilant. As you look into the pit, souls gather around you. They encase you in a cloud of essence that swirls around your body while you consider your next move. Jump into the pit. You jump, trusting the promises of the gods and the power of the souls to bear you safely down. The sun drop takes your breath away, but the souls catch you, encasing you in a shining, thrumming aura. But while they slow your descent, you can still feel that you're falling faster than you should. The essence flowing around you is strong, but chaotic. You find yourself drifting towards the wall. The wall, Ponzeric. Athletics 7. Flip, directing yourself back to the center of the pit. You steer yourself to the safety of open space. You manage to spread your arms and legs into an X, steadying your position and the rate of your descent. You reach the court of the penitents. Millennia-old stones safely under your feet. I completed Act 3. Good. So Act 4 is the final act. Your party is considered high of level for the content in Act 4. No, just standard. That's fine. I don't care. The hard stuff was in the DLC too, and I did all that, so let's just breeze through it. At this point, my party's max level. I don't care about challenge overly much, as long as I enjoy the game. I do like challenge, like the Alpine Dragon. Now that was a challenge.
After what seems like an eternity, your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end. You remain still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath. Their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. You look above at the opening you jumped through. now barely a speck of light like some distant star, alone in the cosmos, and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
Enter Sun and Shadow.
dislocated my... That's better.
I think that statue of Woodica was watching us soil ourselves on the way down.
Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me, then.
Did anyone bring a ladder?
So this is the point of no return. Enter Sun and Shadow. All quests are done that I've been able to get. All tasks are done. Alright, so we're going to save our game, but we're going to use it in a different spot. Oh, so, see, they're nice enough even to do a pre-endgame save, so we'll just keep that one. We'll save over our manual save then. Last dungeon, probably. Lots of traps, and I don't have any of my trap catchers. A millennium's worth of dust fills in the cracks and crevices of the skeletal relief.
Steady does it. Let's go!
Can't get a good shot with them.
This pillar tugs at your essence. A pulse from the world itself moves through it. I guess let's work our way around the circle.
I'll see what's ahead.
Looks like we have 3 paths. Let's go on the right path first.
On the hunt. Hey.
Can't get a good...
On your side!
Whew, good thing I sold most of my jewelry.
The ancient address still bears the impression of the 1,000 souls broken upon it. Your soul burns with remembering suffering. Morningstar two-handed. Okay, just kind of crap weapons. That's fine.
I'll take a look.
Okay, let's go over this way.
I'll stay out of sight.
Oh, and if I find something good, you can have half.
Let's go.
Can't...
And what does the flame reveal?
The pillar tugs at your essence. A pulse from the world itself moves through it.
Can't get a good shot.
Let's go.
I'm on the trail.
Right.
I can do that. I'll tinker with that. What could go wrong?
He actually can't do that. Let's go ahead and save. A column of adder rises above you, stoic and silent. Its rigid layers a measuring stick for the passing of ages. It feels to you as a thick block of ice, and you perceive buried deep in its core a thin flickering flame, all but extinguished, yet preserved against the ravages of the elements. At your approach, the flame seemed to steady and draw strength, and the layers separating it from you melt away, and you are bathed in its glow, a bright beacon in the gloom. The glow seems to fade, as though you adjusted to its intensity, and where it was, Eivora steps into existence, an idyllic shade hovering above the moist prison floor. Though ageless, she appears somewhat different to you now, a slight stoop to her carriage, perhaps, or a trace of sunkenness in her eyes. There is a broad scar across her face, fibrous and wormy where flames once lapped, unhealed even in death.
My old pupil. You are a welcome sight, but a worrying one as well. Do you still wander lost in the darkness after all these many years? You are so different now from who you were then, yet much remains the same. Old troubles with a new face. What is it that has brought you here?
Stoic. I go wherever fate takes me.
So the universe wills it then. As likely a reason as any. I can only guess your presence here has something to do with Theos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here now. They do not come by choice.
Theos diverted them from the cycle. He seeks to empower Woedica and to blame Animensi for the damage he's caused.
After all this time, he would still stand against the tide.
You knew me when Theos did. There's something I need to know about that time.
I will tell you what I remember.
There's something about that lifetime my soul can't let go of. I need to know what it is, and I'm running out of time. I see moments from that life, of you, of the Inquisition, of Theos.
I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was. He had inspired something in you. We spoke of him the last time you were here also. It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true.
And what was that? Eivora's mouth tightens and her brow furrows, a look of pity. Her eyes shift back and forth between each of yours, as if looking for something that would help her decide whether to speak.
That the gods aren't real.
She's not serious.
Perhaps not to her. Many are those whom the gods have scorned. This is petty retribution.
Nonsense! Clearly she has not been on the receiving end of a god's ire. She'd know how real the gods can be.
That doesn't seem possible.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. Something created by people.
This is why you started your own faith.
I never thought of it as faith, but I think you are right to call it that. Let the world see. Let them decide what to do. That was my faith. I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed. that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth living for. I began questioning the other missionaries in public, exposing their parlor tricks. In time, their following became mine.
Who created these gods, and for what?
They were conceived by Engwyth, a society of high minds and broad concerns. Theos' people. In their time, every people worshipped its own gods. Sometimes they warred over it. After a few wars of their own, the Engwythans sought an end to it. They devoted all their energy to finding the true creators. Generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world and unlocked its secrets. One day, they found an answer. Except the answer was no answer at all. There were no gods to be found. Or if there ever were, they were gone. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? But they had mastered many things in their pursuit of these answers. And with their mastery, they crafted their own gods to fill the void, and sent missionaries to the corners of the world to spread their faith.
How did you discover this?
The Engwythan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them. And in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. I found the door to their chambers closed, but the room was stone and the door thin. Their voices carried. I heard enough. I investigated the things they spoke of, and everything was there, just as they said it'd be.
Later on, after I left the Order, a few Engwythians found my words persuasive and joined my cause. They revealed what I did not already know. Is it true what you taught?
You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof, and it may be certainty your soul craves. Resolution. But if you are bound for the same place Theos directs these souls, you will see for yourself, as you once did. Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the stomach to ask what if. And in avoiding the question, they deny themselves an identity of their own.
Ievara scans her audience in silence, her eyes thoughtful, lingering on each member of your company in turn, finding interest in things unseen.
What if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
That's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
The power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
I have seen with my own eyes the deceptions of my goddess. The Watcher has shown me as much. But it was not until now that I understood how truly desperate she was. The depths of her deception.
You speak of her deceptions, but what of your own? Was it her words that led you down your path? Or was it the absence of her words? A gap that you filled with your own broken thoughts.
Beads of sweat coalesce on Durrance's forehead and trickle down the sides of his face in streaming rivulets, as though he were a block of ice standing before a great pyre.
What if neither guide knew the way? How then would you choose a course?
Well, I suppose I would always choose that which makes me stronger. But instead of doing it because Galawain wishes it, I do it merely because I wish it for my own life. Oh, Galawain, know that your humble servant was speaking rhetorically.
What if our burdens come to us not because they are meant to be, but because they happen to be?
All the more reason to cast them off. We have no guarantees beyond this life. Better to enjoy our days while we can.
She locks eyes with Minea.
What if no god had the authority to relieve our burdens, or absolve our sins?
No, then I guess we'd have to seek those things from people.
She crosses her arms, angling her head.
And that's the hard part, isn't it? It's easy to close your eyes and pray to a god. Harder to open them and look into the face of someone you've hurt. Or someone who's hurt you. I spent a long time looking for a miraculous solution. But you can't undo the past any more than you can unspill a glass of wine. All you can do is move forward and try for better.
Many are the names of those who have died in despair, waiting for the help of the gods.
You feel the weight of Eivor's translucent eyes upon your soul. What if we can be assured of nothing? Then it is the questions I have always posed more value than their answers.
A question is a journey, and a journey is what makes us who we are, it's true. But when one journey leads only to the next, then where may one find rest? I ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
We do, even without assurances, there is still truth.
If that is truly what you believe, then you are a far different person than the one I knew. I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures, and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. But there is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know. Until I understand.
For the first time, hints of doubt trace her serene visage.
I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember?
I don't think I had a reason. I just did it.
All these years thinking about it, I don't think I ever imagined you did it without cause. This changes things. Good. The things I taught, the things I believed, I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't because...
Because I thought Theos was right? I needed to know it wasn't because, after everything you'd learned, you'd still rather believe in a lie. If that is the conclusion people reach once they know everything, then my purpose has been a mistake. Did my opinion matter so much to you?
You were a blank slate to me once. A blank slate that I had taught the wrong things. I'd given you a false faith. I had to know I could undo what I had done. Redirect you to embrace the truth. You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who? I expected dissent, but I needed to know that true faith would prevail. Perhaps I've been wrong to place so much importance on one person's actions. It was all I could do to feel like there was an answer. Even knowing what you've told me, some part of me knows it doesn't truly answer what I wished to know. Nor will an eternity of silent contemplation. I will have only my guesses and suspicions, and that will have to do. And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made?
I see the world differently now than I once did. I regret what I did to you and wish your forgiveness.
There is nothing to forgive. The fault was always mine. I led you down the path that led to Theos. When I tried to steer you back, it was too late. To have taught someone wrong is far worse than to have done wrong yourself. Long have I wished to make amends for this, but the time has long since passed. At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish, but now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Theos that your agony lies, in sun and shadow. Your questions are not for me, but for him. and it may be that only an answer from the mouth of Theos himself will satisfy your needs. Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know.
Are you bound here until the end of time?
In a matter of speaking. This is Braeth Yamen, the court of the penitents. Souls are confined here until they repent. They must beg the forgiveness of a god, pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. In truth, they receive leniency, but not true mercy. The spite of Woodica is eternal. They linger above, at the side of the old court, and are not permitted to leave the island, forever severed from the cycle. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition, but time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning. You have brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Theos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then.
The other gods aid me because they want Theos destroyed. I owe them no debt.
They aid you because they would bend you to their own purposes. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing. But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end.
Why don't you repent? You could be free of this place.
Last time someone asked me that, I was bound to an iron wheel with a broken spine. There are many things I've come to doubt about the choices I made in life, but that trial was my one moment of certainty. Even without a chorus of gods to tell me I had been right. The gods need to be reminded that we have a spirit, and that spirit is proof against their power. They have the power to manipulate and confuse and ruin us, but not to change our will. I will remain here until the world crumbles and fades from existence, with joy in my heart, knowing I've shown them what they truly are.
This place, Sun and Shadow, what is it? I could tell you what I believe, but again, it would be no proof. I have only what I've seen, what others have told me about it. There's only one man who can tell you now, who knows it to a certainty, and you shall face him soon enough. I will leave you to see it for yourself. Make your own judgments. Better for your soul that way, I think. How is it you speak Adrian? I speak no language now but the wordless expressions of the spirit. It is through my connection to you that I am able to draw upon your words and form them as my own. Do you know what it is I need from Theos?
I could not say for sure, but you have been to Sun and Shadow before, and it came at a crossroads in your life, when much of what you knew had been upended. I have to believe it will come to you there. Your concerns then were of loyalty and trust and the gods. Everything I told you seemed to send you further into doubt. His words mattered to you when you knew him then. After you and I spoke, you went immediately to seek him out. Perhaps you simply sought confirmation from the man you trusted. If something from that time still troubles you, it may be something he told you then, or refused to tell you. He keeps secrets better than any in this world.
Why has Theos done all this?
He cares only for the secret he keeps locked away. He destroys anyone who might discover it, no matter their chances. That's why he's always favored Woodica. It isn't in her love of promises or justice. It's her disregard for the rules. Her willingness to do what is necessary. To Theos, she's not a deity, but an ally with which to conspire. When her power waxes, she does as she pleases with this realm, as well as hers. And she wants that secret guarded as much as he. If Theos succeeds, there will be a shift in the balance of power among the gods. Woodica was vanquished once, when the other gods decided she had gone too far, and her power diminished. With this infusion, there is no telling what she will do. The only certainty is that there will be chaos in their realm, as well as ours.
How can I get Theos to tell me what I need to know?
You will not find a more resolute being on all of Eora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides. But I see you have become a watcher in this life. Perhaps in defeat, when he can no longer defend himself, you might learn something from him.
It's time for me to go.
Theos will not wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again.
The gods have given me the souls of their forgiven. If you repent, you could join with them. Help me strike the final blow against Theos. Your defiance here is an illusion. You are a slave to the gods, bound to their rules, stuck in their system. Your continued existence is proof of the gods' dominion over all of us. If you hadn't planted doubt in my mind long ago, I'd be living a normal life right now. Before I go, I will repay you for this curse. Then I will waste no more time. Farewell, Eovora.
For my part in leading you to Theos in the very beginning, I hope you can forgive me. I hope whatever final guidance I've given you here proves more useful. If ever we should meet again, in this life or any other, I hope to find you at peace.
Nice and slow.
That didn't work. Let's get a good shot with this.
Hey. Let's go.
Pillared, same thing the others are saying. Okay. Let's go ahead and rest. Oh wait, let's talk to him first.
Doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war?
People were starving. They'd have rebelled sooner or later.
I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded.
He looks down at the ground, drumming his fingers against his side restlessly. When he speaks again, it seems half to himself.
I don't know. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will.
What about?
About him going off to war. He was set on it. My parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your god, you only get the one. But me, I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, than being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his god one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then, he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind.
Do you think he went...
That time,
Oh.
he was dead on that field.
Do you think he went to Wadewind because of what you'd said to him?
Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know.
So if you'd left with him, you'd have known why he changed his mind.
If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so... I don't know why I bother thinking about it. I found my own way in the end, and it wasn't my brother's, and it wasn't my God's. I don't know if it was right. But I couldn't abide what Waidwen was doing to his own. God or not, I don't regret it. Whether Waidwen was Eothas, well, it hardly seems to matter after what we just heard. All these questions I've been trying to figure out. I think I just miss my brother.
He smiles faintly, and when he breathes, the air seems to flow more freely through his lungs. Let's be on our way.
Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on, then. I still owe you one.
Okay.
Nice and slow. Sure.
Okay, let's do a save before going down. Hopefully we're about to Theos. Search for Theos.
Anyone here in Echo?
It's dark in here. Oh, a ring. Oh, it's a shit ring. Theos? Maybe?
Look at the size of this place.
Incredible! I knew the builders could work wonders, but this is amazing!
A watcher.
I don't suppose you could make a few bridges the same way, hmm?
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. Missed most of it.
Let's go!
Can't get a good...
On the hunt.
Shadow Drake spotted.
Look!
Margren's fire casts light in dark places.
Chalky bits of bone break away between your fingers. Gonna beat this right at 100 hours, probably. The shadows in the cavern suddenly lengthen and swallow you. When your eyes adjust to the darkness, you find yourself in the midst of what must be another vision. You are surrounded by mists. The ground feels springy under your feet. You imagine that as soon as you take a step, the soil behind you will erase all trace of your passage. As if on cue, the mists before you clear just enough for you to take a couple steps forward. You do, and the fog closes behind you. You continue for several minutes in this manner, one step at a time, never seeing more than the ground right in front of you. Eventually, rays of light cut through the haze, and you find yourself facing a canyon wall. Eddar's head twists suddenly as though something had flown in front of his face. What's that? Something whizzes past you. Just as you turn, you catch another whir of movement. Out of the mist flits a shape, small and round. You think you see another and another. They tickle the corners of your vision. You turn back to the canyon wall. The sun shifts along its path, and what looked like a smooth rock face is the hollow of a cave. A figure steps out, its features shifting and changing before your eyes.
Can it be? I never thought I'd see with my very own eyes.
Hervé turns.
Even when you look while in the face, you can't know for certain.
He bows his head to the figure. The figure transforms from male to female, from Orlan to Amawa, its bones lengthening and its fur receding into its flesh. The only detail that remains constant is the smooth, eyeless face. The whizzing Russian shapes from the mist converge on the figure, and as they form a spinning cloud, You realize that they are eyes.
You understand the value of a mystery watcher. A buried scroll, a hidden truth. These are my ways. You unravel a thread, Watcher. One you have lost and discovered over generations. And following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning.
The eyes track you even as they circle the gods. Go with the stoic option. Speak plainly. Whale giggles, a strangely modulated sound that rises and falls as the god shifts from one form to the next, and drain the meaning from the end you have almost achieved. Your search for answers to your past has led you to another mystery, and one grander still. These mysteries don't matter to me. I just want to keep my own soul from unraveling. That's the rational response. Yet as you sought this goal, your foes have pursued another.
A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them?
I take it you've got something in mind? The clouds break and the torrent of rain washes Whale's features clean. His blank face molds itself again, taking on the shape of something you've never seen before. Do not consign the souls to the fate of some god's choosing. You have found them. Now scatter them across existence, their destination known to neither god nor mortal. Let them be lost again, new answers to new riddles. Behind him, the sun downpours carve new caves into the canyon. What end would that serve?
No end, Watcher. That is the purpose.
But what would happen to the souls?
None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again and charting their course through the ether will be a new mystery.
Farewell, Whale.
That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
Shadows from the new caves melt and spread across the landscape, covering you in darkness. When the light returns, the vision is gone.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Nice and slow.
Let's go see what's over here then.
Ready, Watcher.
Yeah.
A lone segment of the bridge rises over the ruins of an ancient city. It looks stable enough, but the wide gap leaves little room for error. Jump to the freestanding segment. Sagani gets a running start and leaps over the gap. However, Sagani cries out upon landing and collapses on the other side in a tangle of limbs.
Oh, and if I find something good, you can have half.
Okay, I can't go down there. I think that doorway is where I have to go next.
Close to my jewelry. Let's try that again.
Keeping an eye out.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. This wall's kind of suspicious.
Keep it quiet.
While this is saving, I'll be right back. I gotta go pee. Just like 30 seconds. Alright, sorry about that. Just a quick bio break. Let's go on to the next area. Wonder if this is a bigger area, or if it's just Theos in here. Okay, it's a smaller area. Let's go this way. There's nothing. Oh, Jesus, that scared the shit out of me.
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen?
That's Theos. Ring of Unshackling. None of these are overly good. So it looks like I go around, then go through another circle. Okay. I'm on the home stretch here. I have to be. Small arena. Focusing in on one direction so that they could tell stories at multiple parts of the story at multiple spots.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well.
Oh, that one looks interesting. What's that? Might 2, Resolve 2. Yeah, not that good.
I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Cool area.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was. Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
One last save before probably the final battle. I would hope the final battle, based on how this is leading. The statue is warm to the touch. Oh, here we go. You've come to a circular room, grand and domed, its walls lined with adra and trimmed with copper. At the far end, a great pillar of adra pierces the floor from below like a ragged spike, its shimmering texture giving the illusion of boundless depth. Your thoughts are yours and not yours, and they are all questions. At the base of the pillar stands Theos, a look of concern on his face as he notes your approach. You have something you want to ask him, one question above all others, spinning madly in your mind, but you don't dare ask it yet. You need some admission from him first, some hint of the veracity of your suspicions.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here?
Your mind races, weighing different angles of approach, your emotions barely in check. What is this place?
We are in a sanctum holy to Utica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me.
That machine behind you, what does it do?
It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it.
All these statues, who are they of?
They are monuments to Utica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but my work is not yet complete.
Was Iavara telling the truth?
That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build.
Was the entire Inquisition based on a lie?
The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound.
You are shaken now, having lost all patience for tact. No more evasions. You have to know everything you believed, everything you have done for the gods. Did you lie to me when you said I was right to leave my family behind for the gods? Theos says nothing. Are there no gods?
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things.
With Theos' every word, you find yourself losing control of a boiling cauldron of rage and doubt and fear and hopelessness, until you can take it no more. Are there no gods?
We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
His eyes linger on you, and there's no mistaking the threat behind it. And your rage shrinks at the image of an iron wheel in your mind, monolithic and caked with the dried blood of thousands. You do not ask your question again.
How did you find it?
I didn't. It was Lady Webb.
Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason.
She loved you.
Then she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect.
Her talent and intellect were too great for her to live as your servant.
What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own? You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
Edir frowns, irritated.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
They made cake. Hard to blame people for losing faith when it's the gods who are misbehaving.
The gods argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased. What of you, Orlin? My agents tell me you are far from home, both in distance and in years. Have your friends proven a worthy distraction from the pain of ostracism?
Ostracism? Is that the name for the groin rash your mother gave me? Don't fool yourself, old man. You know nothing about me.
Enlighten me, then. Is it Galawain you serve, or is it Wau?
I do not serve Galawain. I am an instrument of his
A
will.
low growl emanates from Herves, his fingers splay and his fingernails stretch into blackened talons.
But such difficulty on the way. If you had only accepted that perhaps you were fit to serve neither god, just as you were unfit to serve your tribe, you might have saved yourself the trouble.
Belittle my struggle at your own peril, Theos. I have been reforged by challenge and contest. Saved myself the trouble? Pfft, trouble, my friend, is what has made me strong enough to pull your lungs out through your colon.
Yet I suspect you amount to little in your god's eyes in either case.
Durant stares at Theos with a beast's snarl. Theos watches him calmly.
You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did yours.
Yet the other builders were slain. 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemable in your god's sight?
Whatever desire I had to be redeemed in her eyes was weakness, purged by the Watcher's sight.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
A whore's beguiling charms, nothing more. But the spell's broke now, Theos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You were able to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox. You are far from home, dwarf.
I knew my hunt would send me a long way from Masuk. It was a challenge I was glad to undertake for my village.
A journey, then? It must be of some import to take you so far and to last so long.
It's important to Masuk, and so it's important to me.
Theos regards Minea.
And the lost gift-bearer. You have been many things in this life, all because you fear what you really are.
I know what I am, and it's the searching that got me there.
But it was the promise of redemption that led you down that course. Where would you be if you thought all was lost?
What a pity. You must not think much of people if you feel like we're all so hopeless.
Or perhaps I have merely witnessed the alternative. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives.
He directs his gaze at you.
I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
One of us is going to die in this room. You may as well admit your lie to me before that. Rational.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
You denied a generation its place in the world.
The heart of this country has skipped a beat. Nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Telosus into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls.
Nothing could justify these atrocities.
That's where you are mistaken. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith. But all that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark.
Teaching them there were no gods would have achieved the same purpose.
And replaced it with one far worse. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves. But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust.
I'm stoic or rational, so I'm gonna go stoic. If that's how it has to be, then so be it.
If you would welcome a wretched and lifeless existence, then by all means. But I will not see the rest of the world saddled with such a curse. All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
You're blind to think yours is the only way. You are controlled by your own doubts.
We are all controlled by our own doubts. Better that we should be relieved of them. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering. Hear me, Boudica. Your servant calls for aid. Lock 10!
Got one shot? Okay. You go to you. Keep him busy. You go to this one. You go to this one. You go to this one. You go to this one.
Hey.
Everybody attack that one.
Art that worth and worth?
Got an arrow. My bow's got it. My bow got it. My bow. I got an arrow for this one.
At your feet rests the body of Theos. Hollow, the dense wrinkles shaped by the silent shouldering of an eternal burden now smoothed across his color-drained face. His soul remains still for the moment, defenseless, its energy expended in defeat. It lies sprawled across his body like a death shroud.
That's the servant down, and the mistress still to go. A good start, worthy of being built upon.
I hope this is the end, but what's to stop him from being born again with the same ill intent? And before you suggest the option, no, I'm not eating his soul. I'll put almost anything in my mouth, but not that.
After journeying for lifetimes, I can't imagine his failure, knowing it was all for nothing.
At some point, you have to look at the things your god is telling you to do, and ask yourself if it's worth it.
Can't help but feel sorry for him. To live so long without a fresh start, with no chance to wonder what's around the corner.
She shakes her head. Explore Deos' soul. With a deep breath, you plunge into Deos' soul, and where in Brackenbury it had been a maze of narrow corridors and dead ends, now it is expansive and borderless, its walls crumbling into heaps like the ruins of Ingwith as you pass through them. You travel for what seems like ages, rush into a known destination, a memory you glimpsed once before. At last you see it, no more than a pinprick of light at the end of a long tunnel, expanded slowly at first, then quickly as you near. You come out in the room you are standing in now, but it is new and pristine and filled with people, thousands of them, all turned towards the great Adra pillar and the machine that encases it. Theos stands at the machine, and you are one with him now. You look out at the crowd, at faces of shriveled old men and cherub-cheeked little girls, at mothers bouncing infants to quiet them, and fathers clasping their children's restless hands and watching you with somber acceptance. A woman with tears in her eyes gives you a small nod. You turn back towards the machine, your breaths constricted beneath the weight of unwanted knowledge, preparing yourself to set out alone on a journey without end. You close your eyes and open them again to find the machine still in front of you, beckoning. You take your place in front of it and place your hands upon a large mechanical disc at the base of the great crystal column and speak a single word. Giant rings creak to life, build in speed, setting arrays of carved draconic mouths aglow and sending tremors through the platform beneath you. The entire room shakes now with the force of the accelerating machine, all sound drowned out by its deep, deafening thrum. Brilliant tendrils of light arc outward from the pillar in all directions, and you look over your shoulder to see them engulfing the crowd, burning them brightly like hot iron. One by one the tendrils disappear, leaving ashen effigies where people once stood, many of them disintegrating into gray heaps under the stress of the tremors. You look above to the Adra pillar, and a glowing spherical mass has begun to coalesce atop the column where the arcs converge. It grows and pulses, translucent and bulbous like some immense chrysalis, suspended in slow rotation as though it were being spun from the arcs of light. When the last arc disappears, the spectral mass hangs a moment, no longer rotating, so bright you must shield your eyes with an outstretched hand, and it seems to you as though it is looking at you. You bow your head in acknowledgement and look back up to it to see it melt into the pillar like warm candle wax. The pillar flares with a flash of light bright as the sun itself, then fades to darkness. The machine slows down to an abrupt halt, and when the last echo of its grinding cogs has passed, the chamber is still, and you are alone. From all sides, reality begins to bleed in through the memory, and you find yourself in your own skin once more, looking down on Theos' lifeless body. You sense a listlessness to Theos' soul, an overwhelming fatigue that hinders its immediate escape and makes it vulnerable to manipulation. You feel as though your victory has given you some kind of hold over it, and you're able to do with it as you please. Return it to the cycle. You will remember this, Theos. Remember that no man can hide the truth forever, and all you've done was done in futility. Your memory shall be your penance. Let's go with that one. I like that one. It's kind of apt.
To apply the teachings of Durance would more immediately satisfy the cravings in my bones. But this is the stronger lesson, for his soul is already marked by his own hand.
That's rough. Still, if anyone deserves it.
You can feel the pull of the intricate Adra capillaries that rise up from the depths below the chamber. Many are bound up with the great pillar, and would pass to Bodica, but some are filled with the souls of the dead, bound for somewhere else entirely, and you know these are paths of rebirth. Stretching your presence as far as your spirit will allow, you make contact with one such path, and between it and yourself you open up what feels like a long tunnel, sheer and undulating like the gullet to some enormous beast. You shift your focus to Theos' soul, clinging weakly to its vanquished shell, and with all your concentration you wrench it free and send it hurtling through the channel until it passes into the adder vein and can be felt no more. In the stillness that follows, a single word echoes through your mind, a word you spoke when you were one with Theos in an ancient memory. You realize it is the word that activates the machine.
Huh?
Okay, let's talk to my party members.
Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him?
Got an answer to an old question.
Those can be hard to come by, but maybe that's best. Forces you to find your own footing. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that?
Yes.
Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd find a way to give them the courage to face it. Not because they think there's some god looking out for them, but because they've just got it in them. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good.
He winks.
Victory looks good on you. There was a blur about your soul that lingers no more. Seems putting Theos to rest has given you some measure of inner peace. Of course, now you need to decide what to do with these trapped souls. You've won the right, if you wish, to use these souls as fodder to strengthen the living. Think of the Hollowborn. Think of the victims of Animancy gone awry. It would be a great boon to so many. Consider, my Watcher friend, that a true hunter provides strength and sustenance for the whole tribe. But that is merely my 2 pawns on this matter. This is your hunt, your victory, your prize. When I lost my way, you helped steer me back to Galawain. I sincerely believe the Seeker God has returned the favor by guiding you to this moment. It has been an honor to be a part of your pack.
Ah, the end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were a field in need of a flame's cleansing. Would that my own trial had produced such an outcome. I had figured myself for the field all this time. But you were the field, and I the darkness. A lesson neither of Durance nor of Margaret. But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A god's trial. And I will stand in judgment without mercy.
Never thought I'd see something like this in my travels. Lends a little perspective, doesn't it? It's a bitter thing to have come so far only to find that it was all for nothing. Somehow, I don't think we're any better off knowing what we do.
Thank you for traveling with me.
I'd probably still be twiddling my thumbs by the side of the road if you hadn't come along. Thanks for bringing us this far.
Okay, all the talking done? Yes. Save our game. One last time. Right before the choice. And then let's go choose.
Right.
I'm on the trail.
With your companions bearing witness, you step up to the place where Theos once stood before his people long ago. The great machine lies in front of you, idle, ready. You have seen this machine and others like it in operation. You understand how it works. It is a device for directing souls. As a watcher, it would be a simple matter to influence that direction. Though as big as the machine is, it may be the last thing you ever do. Speak the command to activate the machine. There is a shrieking of stone grinding against stone as old cogs loosen and begin to turn. You have only moments before the souls will be sent into the adder vein. This will be your only chance at resurrecting them. Send the souls back into the reincarnation style. Return the souls to the body they were intended for. Entropically disintegrate the souls and end their existence. Distribute the essence to existing souls in Deerwood to strengthen them. Disperse the souls to an unknown location. I'm righting the wrong of Theos. I'm going to return the souls to the body they were intended for. Obviously, some of the bodies won't help, but this will make people whole again. You close your eyes and expand your perception outward, taking in the immense totality of the tens of thousands of souls orbiting the chamber. Your grasp on the souls is tenuous. You find yourself fighting to keep them all within your influence, and you can feel them slipping away from you as the machine gains speed. A brief moment comes when it feels as though you hold all of them at once, and their force is so great it feels as though they will tear you apart. In that moment, you dedicate your entire being to bending their orbit, channeling their flow in a new direction.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale, pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun and Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the souls diverted by Theos were guided back to the vessels originally meant for them. For the first time, parents of hollow-born children woke to the cries of their infants, and looked into their eyes to see them staring back. People fell to their knees where they stood, thanking Helia or Mogren, or even Aethys for their forgiveness of whatever guilt they felt they bore. But for all the relief that had come to some parents, others only found new grief. For many thousands of Hollowborn had died during Wydwin's legacy, many by their parents' own hands. For those children, there would be no homecoming. Yet the last Hollow birth was in the past now.
That was inevitable.
And those parents willing to risk trying for a new child were frequently rewarded, often with twins. Many felt they saw Helia's hand in it, and the year would be remembered as the year of Helia's splendor. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area. In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in the unraveling of the conspiracy surrounding Wydwin's legacy, and were quickly reinforced by returning forces from Fleetbreaker Castle. For the Knights, their resurgence marked a return to the tradition as well. Having seen firsthand the dangers presented by dabblers in animancy, the Order quickly abolished the practice internally, preferring the familiarity of their hammers and forges to the uncertainties of Essence and Adra. Their identity rediscovered, the Knights suppressed their political aspirations and began once again to train their recruits in the art of blacksmithing, recapturing the post-revolutionary ideals of Deerwood and regaining the respect of its citizens as a result. Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been disabled, it had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families moved in to resettle the district than members of the Leaden Key, acting under standing orders from their Grand Master, climbed the tower and reactivated the machine. The initiates slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night and watched as history repeated itself, the victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an Animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few Animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodans took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of Animancy, and that the purging of Animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving Animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Scan. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned. Abydon's renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Deerwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice. Additionally, Abydon's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Engwithan ruins. Animancers and craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Eir Glanfath rose. As for Stalwart, the Battle of Caeron's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan steel and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Raid Serens, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The Flames That Whisper clan found a cautious peace with Stalwart, particularly once the villagers heard of the aid the ogres had offered against the Eyeless. The clan moved back into the Russetwood, and as Stalwart grew in prestige, the villagers formed a tighter
not all
alliance
negative.
with their ogre neighbors.
Some positive to
Within
both
a
the negative.
generation,
That's
ogre
life.
traders visited Stalwart, and village hunters were welcome in the Russetwood. Releasing Harmka left the Devil of Carrick with a gnawing dissatisfaction that continued to eat at her long after the Watcher confronted Theos. She resumed her search for the men and women who had raised Cold Morn, clinging to the hope that enacting her revenge might one day allow her to feel something. Yet, as she hunted and killed, the futility of her actions grew like a leaden weight in her gut. Her movements grew stiff and sluggish as her zeal deserted her. One day, she found herself surrounded in Maiden Falls. As she tried to fight back against the villagers, she felt her arms stick in their sockets and her legs buckle beneath her. The villagers tore her body apart and shattered its segments while she screamed, feeling none of it. Once Maneha had made peace with her memory, she decided the time had come to face her more recent past. For the first time in decades, she returned home to Rawatai, and she found that it had changed as much as she had. New districts had sprung up along the coast, while others withered into crumbling husks, and the streets had changed their course as surely as rivers. Her parents wept with joy at her return. They still ran the old spice shop, and in its many aromas and flavors, she found memories of the places she'd traveled and the people she'd known. She told her story, bottle by bottle, and began to build a life on the soil she knew best. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every thane and earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwoodinians. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. The Audra dragon known as the Master Below, her soul now housed in the body of the huntress Fallen Roet, passed out of Deerwood in relative anonymity, her final destination unknown, even to herself. She was last seen in the port town of Rhodes End, boarding a ship, an Audra talisman glowing about her neck. With your business concluded, Haravius quietly took his leave and headed home to Thane Bog. The elders of the Fisher Crane had not warmed to Haravius in his absence, and when he arrived, he was denounced and scorned. Haravius spoke of his
not a happy
deeds
ending
and of
for
his
any of my
communion with
characters.
Galawain, yet none
Well,
would support his petition to return to the tribe.
Mahena was okay.
One by one, starting with the oldest, Haravius challenged each member of the council to single combat, humiliating the Riau in a series of savage duels. With half the council bloodied and shamed, the elders at last acknowledged Haravius' strength, announcing him a hunter of the Fisher Crane tribe. Upon being granted this title, Haravius calmly left the village and embarked again on his life of wandering. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Still most comfortable far from cities, he settled in Deerford, which, like many towns in the Deerwood, was beginning the slow process of rebuilding. Believing now that it was the obligation of Kith to be the leaders their gods had not, Adair was soon named mayor of the town, and under his guidance, Deerford soon began to prosper. He expelled the last of the Scanites from the area and drew new settlers with the offer of land, a trick he had learned from someone he otherwise preferred to forget. With each passing day, Deerford would come to more closely resemble the Gilded Vale of Adair's childhood, the one worthy of its name. When the dust settled in Sun and Shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grand Master had gone wrong, and what would be required to undo the harm Theos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Theos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. With both their aims fulfilled, Kana Rua bid the Watcher farewell and sailed back to his beloved Rawatai. There, he reported on his findings to the Lore College. Kana spoke of the Engwithan people, describing both their vile experiments and their inspiring accomplishments. He spoke too of the destruction of the tablet by the Leaden Key, and the group's efforts to erase the Engwithan legacy from the world. Both inspiration and cautionary tales, he said, could be found in the world beyond Rawatai's borders. Kana urged his people to continue to pursue knowledge abroad, so that the lessons found there might benefit Tekoa. Kana's inability to prove his theory of Engwithan influence diminished his academic standing, but his passion drew much interest from those less concerned with degrees. Kana swiftly became an influential figure in the move toward a more collaborative approach to expansion on the northern continent. In his personal life, he came to enjoy the reputation of an affable eccentric, willing to share grand and impossible secrets, along with a drink and a song. With Theos defeated and the souls released from Sun and Shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. The grieving mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Deerford, where, to the astonishment of the villagers, she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there, and with each new birth, she saw a measure of hope restored to the Deerwood, and a measure of grace for her own troubled past. Durrance used Magrin's strength only until Theos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. the charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. In her 4-month journey back to Nositoc, Sagani found that the landscape she traveled had become strangely colorless, the food bland and unsatisfying. She watched the Deerwood, Air Glonfoth, the Valian Republics, and the lands beyond slide by with a dull sense of dread. She returned home to great celebration, yet the words of joy and congratulations rang hollow to her. Old beloved songs sounded toneless. The rituals of changing seasons became drudgery, and Sagani experienced her life back in Masuk as if in someone else's skin. So she fought to feel the worth of her actions, or at least to let her village feel them. She led ever longer and more ambitious hunts, mentoring the younger rangers who followed her. On one such expedition, her party was beset by a blizzard, and she pressed on where her companions turned back. She did not return to Masuk. For you, the death of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
Well, let's sit through the credits. There might be a post-credit scene, like the movies do nowadays. We'll see. Good game. I beat it and the 2 DLCs almost exactly at 100 hours. It's a little past it. Beefy game. Very, very beefy. A lot of content. A lot of story. An amazing amount. Let's fast forward. I didn't see the fast forward button. Let's just do 4 times, and then hopefully if there's a post-credit scene, it will go to normal while it when it doesn't. It's amazing how many people are involved in a game of this magnitude. I didn't think about it. This game started on Kickstarter. If it didn't get kickstarted, it would have never taken off. Alright, back to 1X. Unless there's more credits dedicated for the White March, we'll see. Yep. Kickstarter backers. There's going to be a lot of non-gold level backers, so let's just scroll through. Kind of dizzying at 16x. But it's alphabetical by first name, so when we get towards the T's, we'll slow it down. good game. Excellent. I guess that'll be stream. We beat it. Alright. Well, I appreciate everybody that hung out during my Pillars of Eternity playthrough off and on. Good game. I'm going to call the stream there. Y'all have a good evening, and I'll be streaming again tomorrow, probably during the day, since I do Mythic Pluses on Saturday nights with my WoW guild. But y'all have a good evening. Take it easy. Pons Eric out.